I almost started this video off saying that I had not seen the first Inside Out film until very recently because that's what I felt like when I was going into this review because I did not see the first Inside Out until I was much older. And I was getting ready to say, I didn't see the first Inside Out until like last year. And so I wanted to fact check myself and just make sure. I go onto my letterbox and then I find out that it's been almost 4 years. And I'm just like, what the heck is that? Because like I legitimately feel like I just watched it for the first time very recently, and here we are, and it's almost 4 years later, and I'm still thinking I just watched it for the first time. So, I mean, it speaks to how resonant the film is because I remember it very vividly. So, here we are with Inside Out 2. It's not like I have a major attachment to Inside Out because obviously I was just too old when it came out. Actually, I wasn't too old when it came out. I just didn't see it till I was older. It's not like I was like going into this movie going, "Oh my god, an Inside Out sequel! How is this going to ruin my childhood?" or anything like that. I was just like, "Okay, let's just see what they do with this." And here we are, 9 years later, with a sequel to Inside Out. And honestly, it doesn't really feel like they skipped a beat with this. It felt like animation style, the kind of humor, all the voice acting, just on par with the original. And there's a lot of things here that are on par with the original. It's really funny. I don't think it's like a laugh out loud funny, but it's a very amusing watch where you just kind of like laugh at these ideas that they've had throughout that are all creative and original, but also find ways to be very poignant. It's not as emotional or sad as the first movie, but honestly, people would say that as like a negative, but it really, to me, that doesn't really mean anything. That's like just because it's not like the first movie when it comes to emotion doesn't mean that it's any worse or any better because I feel like people rely on like, oh, did you cry as like a good thing when it really doesn't mean anything to me. I mean, it depends on what the movie's trying to go for. If it's trying to make you cry and it fails, it's a bad thing. But if it's trying to make you cry and then succeeds, it's a good thing. But I don't really feel like this one was just trying to make you cry. There was a lot of heartwarming and touching moments, particularly with the way that they explore what it's like being a teenager. I think they did it all very well. In fact, I loved the new characters, and the Anxiety by Maya Hawke was hysterical. I thought she was perfectly cast. I think her voice acting was excellent, and honestly, I saw a little too much of myself. And it's funny because what I really liked about this film in particular, because it talks, its main focus is teenagers and how they deal with their life. To me, what I really liked about it is that some people really don't get rid of their teenage anxiety, because there's a lot of things in here where I'm just like, anxiety, yeah, that's me. I do that all the time. I do that all the time, particularly for what I want to do right now. I'm making a short film, and my big stress is I just want to make this movie good enough. With my short film, I just want to make sure that it's something that's going to impress people. I'm trying so hard, and I'm so afraid it's not going to make people go, "Oh my God, Jonathan's really good at this." I want to be good because I like doing what I like that I got out of this movie is that I like doing this, and I just need to enjoy that I get to, at my age, be making a short film rather than worrying about the fact, is it going to be good enough? Am I good enough? And that's something that it starts when you're 13, but people need to actually learn to let go of that. And that's something that I really, really liked about this movie, and something that I took away from this watch, where I was just going like, oh my God, that's really poignant. Obviously, I'm not sobbing in my seat like what maybe like the first movie did, and there's no like emotional heights in this movie like this one, but this one really spoke to me on themes of like that with anxiety, particularly towards the end of the movie. Some really intense stuff with like a full-on anxiety attack, but it's all really well depicted and well translated for a kids movie. Sometimes kids movies have a hard time translating themes like this, but I honestly feel like they found that perfect balance for where it's not going over the kid's head, but at the same time it's also translated very well and doesn't feel diluted. So I really appreciated all that. The animation here is really good. I mean, it's just like the first movie, so if you like the animation there, it's the same thing here. Yeah, it's a very entertaining movie. I do also want to say that I was in a packed theater watching, because obviously right now we are in box office bomb after box office bomb. This Bad Boys did okay. I mean, it didn't like knock the Hollywood socks off, but it did good for what it was. But besides that, we've had a lot of bombs this summer so far. But I think this one is going to open very well, probably over projections, because I walked in this theater and I was like, what the heck? Why is there so many people in here? Because it's the most packed theater I've been in easily since Dune 2 at an early span of, and this was just a Friday night showing. So I know that this will exceed expectations when it comes to box office this weekend, because there's no way that it's only making this, like, people are saying that's going to do about the same as Dune 2, but I'm just saying that there's no way it's gonna do the same. I think it's really gonna do better, and that's good. I think Pixar needed this win. I think Hollywood needed this win. It's not. I mean, I know it's a sequel, but it's original content from Pixar and Disney. It's not, Mufasa getting a billion. I mean, I'm not saying this movie's gonna get a billion, but it's doing really good from what I can tell from my one showing that I went to. The box office can come out and be like, "Sorry, didn't do very good," and I'll be like, "Oh well, I was wrong." This movie is paced really well. I never really felt its runtime. It was started, it was over. It really will hold kids' attention well and parents' attention well, but nothing really feels too rushed. I don't really have a lot of complaints about this movie. My only real complaint about it is that when it was over, when I got home, I didn't really do a lot of thinking about it because it really felt short and sweet and with a nice message, but it didn't give me a lot to chew on, except for like those elements of anxiety that I was talking about. But anxiety is definitely a supporting character in this film, and all the other emotions were just kind of like not sidelined, but just like didn't have very much to do besides be there. And they didn't really feel like they upped the themes of the movie. Like, anxiety and joy upped the themes of the movie, but everyone else was just kind of there to help with that. I just wish once the movie was done and I got home and started, I was just thinking about the movie instead of just random life stuff. So that's my only little gash with it, because when I went to do this review, it's not like I was just like sitting getting ready to do it. It's like I had to think about it and then watch the trailer again and be like, okay, yes, 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 okay, this is my review. Because most of the time I'm able to just sit down and just go, because my thoughts are just kind of like form themselves over time. That's my weird nitpick with this movie. But overall, I enjoyed it. I think everyone else will, and I'm gonna give it an 8.3 out of 10. Comment down below what you guys thought of Inside Out 2. How do you think it compares to the first Inside Out? And how does it rank amongst your Pixar? Do you think this is, well, not, I'm not asking for a ranking because there's too many at this point, but would you say this is upper tier, mid tier, or lower tier Pixar? I'm very curious. I would say this is honestly upper mid tier if I had to place it, but Pixar is very consistent and has only made a handful of films I haven't liked, and that's probably just the Cars movies. So yeah. Anyways, comment down what you guys thought, like, share, subscribe, and stuff like that, and adios.